Hey, we're live. How's everybody doing today? I hope everything is fantastic. Where are we going here? Oh boy, stream quality has automatically been lowered because the internet connection is not good. What are you gonna do? All right, so I hope everybody is well. So I'm recording this in the morning, and I think my solution to my internet problem is not my router. I think it's just my provider. All these Zoomers are on, you know. I hope everybody is well. So let's see how many people get on. Hey, how you guys doing? Tell me where you're from. Say hey from whatever part of the world you happen to be in. So that's cool. Sup. How are ya? So, I got some interesting comments, and yeah, to answer your question, no, JavaScript is not dying. I got that question on under my last video, and I figured thanks for letting me know the audio is cool, good, audio video good, thank you. From France, good day to you, man. Chile, hello from Medellin. I love native but dislike frameworks. That's interesting. JS Dying, no, it's not. You can leave now. JS is not dying, and a stream. So what will replace JS? Nothing. Good morning, Mr. Rob. Upstate New York, Hudson Valley. Yeah, very cool. Hello from India. Yo from Vegas. Zoomers are guilty for everything, of course. Hi from Finland. JavaScript will never die. Yeah, I would pretty much say. I think we're going to be dead before JavaScript is dead. Sorry, guys. Hi from Mongolia. Holy jeez, that's pretty cool. Good night, India's technology. Mr. Hassan from Pakistan. Very cool. How is the new router? I haven't installed it yet. I'm not sure it was my router because right now it's like I did a stream. It was a couple days ago. I didn't have any issues with my old router, so I'm not sure what the deal is with that. So we'll soon find out. Hello from Belgium, California, Jamstack for life. Good morning from Portugal, Russia. Very good. Caribbean says, is Jamstack a fad or real thing? I don't know. Hi from Italy, good vibes. Yeah, cool. All right, so we got a decent amount of people. So let me just jump into a few things to address this. San Diego, Matthew likes to rub it in. Hello from Nigeria, Turkey. Hey, are your certs recognized similar to how CompTIA, CERT, or CI, CISP are in the IT world? What are the most popular programming certs? My certs are used by schools all over the place, but I couldn't say they are, I don't know how recognized they are relative to other certs. That being said, I think that when you go in for a job interview, as I have always said, certs are minimal importance. This is what somebody will say, looking at your resume. Okay, Dave. All right, he knows this, okay, he's put up in the top of the resume the skills that we're actually looking for. Okay, you didn't mention that you like skateboarding, that's good. Oh, you got some certifications, Studioweb. Okay, certifications are good, but have you done any projects? Have you actually done any work? That's the key. Anyway, I hope that helps. Yeah, pretty much. I would agree with that statement. Israel, Iraq. Good day. JavaScript for small web app, but it is not good for large webs that relies on backend, and that's due to security issues. Depends on you. Well, on the front end, you got to deal with JavaScript. I think to address the very large web apps that are out there, the handful that most of us will never be working on, you have TypeScript if you feel that is a need. But yeah, all right. So let me just jump into this piece here. I want to address the question because it came up in the comments. So let's just read this right here. I think I can increase the size. There we go. JavaScript is by far the most popular programming language out there. There is an article from 2019, mid-2019, but things have not changed. According to 2019 Stack Overflow report, JS is used by 67.8% of developers. It is also the most complex programming language, with 8.36% of JS code being deeply nested. Well, complex means poorly written. Well, let's jump into it. I've never been to the site before. So it's some recruiting site, but they got an article here. So yeah, let's take a look and we'll comment on this. Yeah, JavaScript is by far the most popular programming language. Okay, we read this. Today we'll untangle the statistics surrounding JS frameworks so that you better understand the coding landscape. Specifically, we'll focus on the big three JS frameworks of 2019: React, Angular, and Vue. So if you look at it, JavaScript Rising Stars reports, which tracks the number of stars added on GitHub, listed Vue, React, and Angular as the most popular JS frameworks in 2018, outpacing other frameworks by a lot. I don't think there's any change here. See a lot of growth in 2018 for Vue, 2019. Vue has had the top star count, showing how it's increasing in popularity. For the first time, it surpassed React in the ratings. However, GitHub stars aren't the only way to understand JavaScript frameworks. While they give a sense of the trend, other statistics suggest a fuller picture of these top three frameworks. Program downloads. So I'm not going to read the whole article. You can see that React is still by far dominant. But you see that neck and neck, Vue and Angular. This is, of course, of 2019. So I think things are continuing along the same trends. Also note that React is well above and beyond Angular and Vue in terms of downloads. This happens with both monthly trends and yearly trends, as you can see with the downloads per year below. React has consistently outpaced Angular and Vue since 2016. So you can see a little chart here. The middle one is Angular. Up here in red is React. Down here is Vue. But again, this is 2019. I think the trend is towards Vue now. Stack Overflow questions. See, most questions are Angular questions are dropping like a stone, but you see a lot of Vue and React questions. Again, Google Trends 2019 report. So you see the trend here. Again, job numbers. Let's look at the job numbers. So you see the Vue job numbers are starting to rise. These are 2018 numbers. So this, I'm sure, is much higher. But you can see that the job market is another measure of importance of JS frameworks over others. While this fluctuates constantly, there are some clear trends. This data comes from Hacker News hiring trends, shows the percentage of posts for developer jobs openings. React takes the top spot, while the other two are in the same ballpark. The only difference is Angular shows a decreasing trend and Vue a slight increase. I think Vue since then has been increasing even more so that's kind of cool. If you like this type of content, please give the video a thumb up so I know and the Google algo knows. I would appreciate that. Regular usage percentage right here. There's also somebody who said about how often developers use these frameworks. For example, developers' favorite framework may not actually be the ones they use most. What JavaScript frameworks do you regularly use, if any? React 60, Express 45%. That's a server-side framework. I think Node. Vue, React Native, Angular Electron. So that gives you, this is a 2018 stat. I think you're probably going to see an increase with Vue, that's for sure. Let's go developer framework satisfaction. What are they like? Developer satisfaction with React is confirmed in 2018, so it's a couple years old. In this case, the chart reflects developer satisfaction framework based on whether they would use it again. So you see, use it, would use again, use it. Okay, so you see, okay, I don't know how sure that is, good that is. So let's look at web penetration. I always like to talk about that. To measure how often web companies make use of these frameworks, it's also useful to look at web penetration. The site SimilarTech has kept a running tab on the number of websites and domains that use these frameworks. Oh, that's interesting. So let's see what we got here. This is React. Right here, 700,000, 100,000, 400,000. That's 2018 data, or is it that 2018 or 2019 data? So most loved and wanted frameworks. So React and Vue take the cake. What else do we got here? Most loved, dreaded, and wanted frameworks. There we go. Top framework salaries. Here we go. Now is the meat of it. All right. So let's see. So in terms of 50, 100K, they're all pretty much the same. Vue, Angular, React. 100K to 200K, it's all very similar. It's React a little bit more. So yeah, there you go. And these numbers have to do with what type of companies are invested in these technologies and so on. I think you're going to see Vue continue to rise. But, you know, as I've said before, the salaries are all very similar with some respect. Well, this average is a little skewed because of the fact that React is probably used in very large, well-established businesses. React was only about 10,000 higher on average than the other two, which makes it sense given its popularity for top websites, exactly. Top website market share. Okay, I don't think that's entirely relevant. Let's see what's going on here. JS is leading the top 10K websites, top 100K websites, the top 1 million on the entire web. Oh, that makes sense. Most liked aspect of each framework. Oh, let's see what they say about this. Finally, let's take a brief look at why developers like these frameworks. And we found the most liked aspects of each in the state of the JS report. Elegant programming patterns. Let's see, React, 9K. I guess the number of votes. Vue, 3K. Again, this is irrelevant because it's just vote based. So you know, if most people use Vue, so it's going to get more votes. Anyway, final takeaway. All JS frameworks have their ups and downs. While Vue seems to be growing the most, React is the most popular in terms of usage. Angular has captured a top web market share. They each have different strengths, and all of them are top JS frameworks being used today. Jobs in programming are only skyrocketing, and there's plenty of work as React, Angular, and Vue developer, as a React or Angular Vue developer, or even in different languages altogether, such as Python, Ruby, Node. What? We gotta take that one out. Before you interview at a tech company, be sure to prepare since competition is fierce. If you're a Node.js programmer, you can check out. Okay, so there you go. A lot of demand. Prepare for a particular job at hand, and Bob's your uncle. So let's look at this. This was posted under my last video. So let's take a look and see what we see here. Why don't you zoom in on this sucker? Let's see if I can zoom in on this. Hold on. Boom. Is that going to be clear? All right. Boom. Okay. So this is posted comments under my last video. So yeah, I'm a proponent of intermittent fasting. So you see here, top line, intermittent fasting. This is good to announce on YouTube that you've read a book on religious fasting, that you're considering fasting in Ramadan. You'll gain 1 million subs. All right, I mentioned it. We'll see if I get 1 million subs. Yeah. No, but all seriousness. Developers tend to, we sit around all day as developers, and it's good you want to keep the weight down for your health. One thing, if you're worried about COVID, and you should be concerned, like anything else, keep your weight down. Because if you're not heavy, the chance of you being negatively impacted by COVID diminishes quite a bit. So how do I keep my weight down? I've kept off like 45, 50 pounds consistently for many years now, and a lot of it has to do with intermittent fasting. And I've really been able to fine-tune it lately. with the help of a friend. So if you're worried about your weight, remember that what you eat, and more specifically, what you don't eat in your eating patterns are far more important than exercise. Exercise is the least important aspect of losing weight. Actually, it has very little impact in terms of losing weight. Think of it this way. If you work out really hard, you'll burn maybe 300 calories an hour, maybe 400, something like that. Some people can do super high intensity, 500. But you got to train really, really hard to do that. One Big Mac is about 550 calories. So I remember years and years ago when I was a little overweight, I was looking at that. So I could train really hard and do 300 calories, burn 3, or I just don't eat that Big Mac, which is 550. So, how you manage your intake of food is far more important if you're interested in that thing. I mention this on a developer channel because if you're thinner, lighter, you will think better, you have less stress on your body, less stress on your brain. Imagine your brain's going to handle all this extra weight. It puts stress on your mind. You'll just feel better. And in the midterm, so you have short-term benefits that are immediate once you start losing a few pounds. There are midterm benefits, health-wise, et cetera, and there are long-term. So it's not only going to help you psychologically, physically, but also financially. Because when you have less weight, you're more energetic, you can write better code, you can write cleaner code. So if you want to write cleaner code, you should get in shape. Dude, I just tell you from experience, So keep that in mind. If you look below, by the way, a friend of mine is taking on mentees. I announced it last week. He's got 10. I think he's taken on 10 people so far. And he said he could take on more free. It's all free. And some of his people have already lost 8 pounds, 10 pounds just in a week or two. So I would, he would literally get on the phone with you, talk to you, coach you, set up a little program for you. No cost, no future obligation, nothing. He's basically building a program, and he wants to, he's the guy who lost he went from 300 pounds to 200 pounds, got rid of his type 2 diabetes. So he just wants to put together a program that works for the public. So you guys will be, I guess, kind of his guinea pigs if you will, but free coaching, why not? So anyway, there's a link below right this video where you can click through. You'll see him in the video, and you can sign up to the newsletter. And again, no cost. He's just putting together a program so you can help him to build this program. Okay. All right, so let's go on here. I've been intermittent fasting for about 3 weeks now and taking brisk walks every morning for about 50 minutes. Lost about 4 pounds already. Exactly. Intermittent fasting is huge. Another thing is huge is cutting the carb intake. You'll learn, especially if you train with my buddy, he taught me this recently. There's a hierarchy of fuels that your body will burn. So if you eat carbs and sugars, your body will burn that. But if you eat fats and non-carb food, your body will start burning fat. And what does it have on your belly? It's fat. So if you want to lose weight, you do that. Hello, Arthur. I hope everything is well. Exercise is more beneficial in terms of mental health. It is always almost superior. With losing weight, I agree with you. Mental clarity from exercise is amazing. I agree. Yeah. Trust me, I was a hardcore athlete for decades. So yeah, exercise is great, but a lot of times programmers, especially they're in the thick of things, you're working hard, you got tight deadlines, and you got to get that code out quick. It's harder for them to go to the gym 4 days a week. It requires a certain discipline. But if you slightly adjust what you eat, introduce intermittent fasting, you can get a huge amount of benefit from that without interrupting your workflow. Although I do agree, go out, at least start walking every day. Let's see what Mr. 666 has to say. Stef, hello from Tunisia. Hey, how are you, man? I lost 17 pounds using intermittent fasting. Fantastic. Yeah, intermittent fasting is gold. The first few times you do it, it's like, oh, it's hard for most people. But after you get past that hump, trust me, Intermittent fasting, you feel great. You get this mental clarity, boom, boom, boom. What's going on here? I gained 60 pounds during COVID, been skinny, chubby, jacked, and always lose weight. And I always lose weight I gain. Down about 15 pounds now, doing intermittent fasting, no more than 2 meals a day. There you go. The love handles are the worst, yeah. The easiest way to do intermittent fasting is to have your last meal, your supper, like maybe 6 o'clock or something, or 5 o'clock. And then you don't eat until the next day at noon. This way you don't go to bed hungry. I find, and everybody's health is different, so you got to consult your doctor, all this kind of stuff. I have to say that because of legal liabilities. I don't know what your situation is physically, but assuming everything is all well with you physically, health-wise, you stop eating, you do supper so you don't go to bed hungry, and then you don't eat until the next day noon, and you get to whatever 16 or 18 hours, and that's a good way to start it. Drinking coffee reduces hunger. Drink water, a couple liters a day, depending on how tall you are. Very good stuff. All right. So if you're a nerd watching and says, how does this have to do with JavaScript and coding? Trust me, this is huge, because if you're thinner and you're in better shape, you stretch, you intermittent fast, and that means you much less chance of a sore back, much less chance of fatigue, much more mental clarity. These all add up to better coding, right? Better coding, better jobs, So it all comes together. That's why I'm teaching this. I teach the basics of this in my mentoring program. But if you want the full-blown program, again, there's a link below. Click, takes you to the site. It's called the bodydeveloper.com. Little play on words, body developer, for developers. It's a program designed, like I'm in full disclosure, I'm sitting designing this with him based on the developer lifestyle. What do programmers need? What do they need to do? And being a mentor here, coming from the 90s, I'm just teaching you guys not just about coding and getting jobs or starting a SaaS business or freelancing, but I'm also thinking about in terms of interpersonal skills. But also I thought, it's very important, health skills, things that coders can do to maintain decent health without having to go crazy, in terms, because time requirements and so forth. So anyway, again, it's just free. I'm doing, it's just free. You can just get free consultation. He said, I want to consult with these guys, put together the program. And I said to my buddy, you sure you want to do that? You want to get these calls? He said, yeah, we'll see how many I can handle. So so he's got like I said, I don't know what it is, 6 or 7 or 7 or 10, and he's already have people that are losing weight like crazy. So yeah, it's free. Free's good. We'll get a tech question. Hi Stef, how difficult it is to use PHP include to import other pages? I've learned it yesterday, and my wizard brain is having a blizzard. That's a good. I'm going to use that. I have to steal your quote here. I like that. It's good for my lizard. It's very simple. All the import does is literally, it's like an automatic PHP includes, and you have includes in all the page rendering frame, whether it be JSP or PHP or classic ASP. All it's doing is the programming language, in this case the PHP, it's literally cutting and pasting all that PHP code that's in a separate file into your page. It's just sticking it there. It's nothing more than that. It's doing it dynamically. So you want to include your include at the very top of the page. So all that code. So just imagine whatever code you're including in your PHP page. So you got your main page, and it's got the include code here, and it's got the include statement here. You got another page with all your PHP code that you're including. Just wherever you put that PHP include statement, that code, that chunk of code from the other page will just appear there. So you want to put it at the very top so it gets included on time, because if you include it below, let's say you include at the bottom, and if you're writing code in your main page that is looking for some code that's in that PHP include code, and it doesn't find it, you're going to get an error. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, yeah, just rewatch those videos if it doesn't. I did intermittent fasting for a month, and I thought I would die. I don't think it is for everyone, especially when you exercise twice a day, 5-6 days a week. Yeah, if you're exercising hard, then you need an adjustment to that, right? Because you're burning a lot of calories, your metabolism. Yeah, you should sign up to my friends and get hooked up with him. He can help you with that, because if you're training really hard, then you have to structure it a little bit differently. I'm 17 and have a bulging disc in my back because I'm overweight. There you go. So you should sign up. Forms are supposed to be free, dude, and help you lose weight really quick. Yeah, you got to take care of that now because you're young, because your body's is like supercharged right now. But if you let this continue, the effects will be quite damaging as you get older. So yeah, you got to take care of it, man. Yeah, see, yeah, that's it. I figure if I'm going to mentor, I'm going to mentor you on everything, not just coding and job, but everything. Yeah, imports are just bringing in code dynamically. It's nothing more. It's nothing more special than that, you know. Burnout is a real problem, so I take care about rest and sleep phase. Yeah, 100%. Rest, sleep, and relaxation. Take days off. You got to give your brain a rest, dude. Just like training, hardcore training. You know, when you're really deep into development, it's really mentally intense work. It is indeed. And just like physically intense work, where after you do a hard training, you got to give yourself time to rest, drink water, eat good food. Same thing with coding. You're really tasking the brain when you're coding heavy. Okay? Hello, our lovely 420-year-old Ruby developer. That's it. That's it. Dude, talk about jazz. I'm here for that. You missed it. I talked about it earlier. I read a whole article. You can watch the replay. Snooze, you lose, dude. No, seriously, I wrote it below. I talked about it below. Now, hold on, let me just finish this. So, I like this this guy Adrian here. I'm doing intermittent fasting for 2 years now. I can tell you this: no more bugs in my code whatsoever. That's the best comment of the day, my friends. That's the best comment of the day. So I don't know about this. Should you listen to Stefan 20 minutes? This is not the fashion industry, right? I don't know. So I think people were bashing my haircut. You know, since COVID, I've been clipping my own hair. Does it show? That's okay. Do you think you can make a living out of publishing Android apps on Google Play? I think publishing apps on any platform, would be Google Play or the App Store for Apple, is difficult now because there's so many out there. So if you develop an app, you have to develop and need to develop a marketing campaign around that app to promote it so that people will actually want to download it. Unless you're lucky and super lucky. I don't know what this means. The girls like going from chubby to skinny. Well, you know, I think that if you want a partner, man or woman who is in physically in good shape, I think you have to be in physically good shape. Stef, now that you are a developer and you made so much money in life, you're basically successful. So my question is, what will you do when you are older? I'm already pretty old, dude. I'm already pretty old. I'm doing what I like now. That's the thing. I'm doing what I like. I do these because it's a lot of fun for me. It's good for a business, of course. Gets my name out there. It's an unexpected benefit of it all. But at the end of the day, I just enjoy it. I've been teaching for a long time now as part of what I do. I have other businesses outside of it, selling courses to the general public. But I get a kick out of hearing back from people who've learned from me 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and they got careers or big businesses. And So yeah, it's my contribution back. In psychology, there's this guy named Maslow, famous psychologist, I think from the 50s or 60s, I forget now. Anyway, basic reading you have to do about this guy if in university if you study psych. That was my major in university. I am not a psychologist. I'm pointing. I am not, but that was my major in university. Anyhow, there's this thing called Maslow's hierarchy of concern. So depending on your age, your focus changes vis-a-vis what you find important in life. Think about it when you were 10 years old, what was important to you as a kid. Think about when you were 15, 16 years old, what was important to you as a kid. And think when you're 30 years old and 40 years old and 50 years old. Now imagine me at 169 years old. What is important to me is very different now than it was when I was in my 20s. It's a totally different game in terms of my psychology. So, yeah. Monk, Stef, I just got the freelance course. Great so far. Well, thanks, Tashan. I appreciate the plug. Yeah, the freelance course, again, based on my personal experience. Everything I teach, by the way, is based on my own personal experience. Yeah, so there you go. Dude, just for my satisfaction, please tell me about jazz. What's take? I'm really wanting to know. Okay, I will do a little quick reprisal. So basically, somebody asked in the comment here, if you look below, let me get rid of this, hold on, boop. Where is it? Okay, is it below? Oh, here we go. Here it is, right bottom one. Will JavaScript die in the near future? So I was just responding to that. The short answer is it is not going to die. It's growing hugely in popularity. The main big frameworks, React, Vue, Angular, doing fantastic, lots of job opportunities, not going anywhere. And in fact, depending on the ranking, it's either number 1, number 2 most popular. It's fighting with Python. And lots of job opportunities, can't lose with it. That being said, let's pull back, and something I teach here, and I think I don't know if anybody else teaches this on YouTube. The language that you learn is almost totally irrelevant. Let me say it again. The language that you learn, the programming language, is almost totally irrelevant. Because once you are a proper developer and you know your fundamentals, you could jump from language A to B to C in a very, very short period of time. So let's say you learn JavaScript and something happens, asteroid hits the planet, and then Microsoft forces everybody to learn VB script. Your JavaScript skills will be almost 100% transferable over to the VB world. So let's say you decide to do JavaScript and React. You're a JavaScript React guy, and then 3 years from now, you find that Vue is the dominant, and you get and there's job offers only for Vue. For you to go from React to Vue will literally be a few days. It's not a big deal, because what you're going to find as you get more advanced as a developer, all these frameworks and all these languages, they're so similar. They almost are totally irrelevant. You, as a professional developer, will be able to pivot. Just like a great musician doesn't need to use one brand of guitar, right? If you're a great guitarist, you know how to play guitar, you can move from a Gibson to a Les Paul to whatever type of guitar that you want. It's not a big deal. Of course, developers will have their preferences. Certain jobs will lend themselves better for certain languages and frameworks will lend themselves better to certain jobs. There's no question about that. But at the end of the day, you just pivot accordingly. So for example, I'll use a car analogy I like to use. Sometimes a Range Rover is the best choice vehicle. You're going off-roading or you're driving on a sandy beach, fantastic. But if you're driving on a good highway, you're going to be much better off with a Porsche 911, right? I'm not saying Porsche is trash and Range Rover is great or vice versa. It depends on where you're driving, dude. Same thing with these languages, that's all. So don't worry about it. So yes, to answer your question, JS is not going anywhere. It was kind of a tongue-in-cheek video, to be honest with you, vis-a-vis JS. It's funny to me that people are. I understand it's fun, but it makes me chuckle a little bit when people, oh my God, is JavaScript gonna go away? JavaScript's so used, it's everywhere. Oh my God, is JavaScript gonna go away? Even Ruby, which is like it's been in the dog shed for years now. It's still used quite a bit. There's still lots of Ruby jobs, you know. So PHP is the best though. PHP has been trashed for years and years and years and years and years by the noob dev community and even experienced developers. But dude, just look at the PHP usage. Just look at it. I believe that PHP is still the most popular server-side, let me say it again, server-side programming language in the world. PHP, dog PHP, dirty old PHP, it is always in the top 5, 6, or 7 in terms of language rankings. And people are always like, what? PHP is popular? What? You know? And if you think about it, PHP only does one thing, server-side programming. That's all people use PHP for. And it's still always in the top. But if you look at its relative competitors, PHP's relative competitors, you got JavaScript, Python, Java, C++, C#, they are more general purpose. You know, there's many more server-side web apps written in PHP than in Python. There are many more server-side web apps written in PHP than C#.net, no question, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just, keep that in mind. So don't let, if you work in any of the modern languages and frameworks, you're fine. You're fine. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, JavaScript is awesome. All right, let's see what John has to say. John says, hey, Stef, how is it going? Going pretty good. I got my coffee. It's a pretty sunny day out there, so I'm happy. I have a question about building software company in third world country. All right, I know about building software companies, but not third world, but I'll try to help. Should I do that or move to somewhere else? Very good question. I don't know. Here's the ideal situation. If you are in a third world country where you feel happy being there because you just like the environment and it's safe, etc., and you can set up a business out there where you can live very inexpensively in the third world country, but still be able to sell into the whole world, that's like the best of both worlds, right? Because you can get all that world income and still have that great quality of life in the third world country. A lot of baby boomer Americans, and I think Europeans too, that's what they do. They'll move to, I don't know if Thailand is third world anymore. I think it's more second world, but they'll move to Vietnam and Thailand and other countries, which are great countries. But the cost of living is much lower than in North America, so they move there. Let me just brighten this up a bit. There we go. So they move there, and they live very, very well. So if you can set up a company in the third world and then get clients in the first world, then fantastic. Now, people do that in the U.S., by the way, in the sense where you got people who live in the middle of the U.S. where the cost of living is much lower. You can buy a house there for a fifth of the cost it would cost you to buy a house on the coast. And they love that lifestyle, but they do like freelance web development as an example. So they're making freelance web developer money, but they live in a very inexpensive environment. So they're saving a ton of cash, investing, and they're doing fantastic because they're not spending all their money on $1 million houses in Los Angeles. You know what I mean? So yeah, it could work for you. Okay, Sanders had a good question. Is that the question? Let's see. Is PHP MVC? Yes, there are many PHP MVC frameworks out there. Laravel is the best one, although I hear other ones. Okay, so there's a conversation, I've lost it. Any plans for a mobile app? Let me read. Any plans for a mobile Studioweb app? No, we're responsive right now. It works fairly well on tablets, phones. I have to check the latest implementation on phones. If I do anything with Studioweb in that regard, it would be PWA. I like the, what's it? I like the goat pic you have on your JavaScript course. Yeah, I like that goat. I think it's a type of sheep, or I don't know what it is. But I went through to pick the photos for each of my courses, my foundations, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, and Python. I literally went through 10,000 photos, believe it or not. 10,000, all the photo sites and everything. Everything is licensed, of course, because it's commercial. And as soon as I saw that goat, his face, the way he looks at you, I found it very entertaining. I said, it has nothing to do with JavaScript. A goat has nothing to do with JavaScript. But I said, that goat's too funny, so I used the goat. Yeah. Let's see what we got here. I purchased your PHP course. I appreciate that very much. I appreciate that support. Loving it so far. Good. Do you know of a good MVVM-based PHP frameworks? MVVM. I'm not sure what that acronym stands for. Write it down below. The best PHP framework that I know of is PHP Laravel. We use it in Studioweb. It's just very elegant, well written. My current lead developer, he loves it. He didn't know it beforehand, and I said he was doing Symfony, and then he went into, he checked out Laravel. I said, no, this is Laravel based. He learned it like this, and he's like, he loves it. It's a very good framework. You can write an MVC framework in PHP, of course you can, but I would just use Laravel. Hello, bonjour Stéphane, bonjour, comment ça va Michel, petite frère, excuse-moi. I feel like sometimes IT and software development has common grounds. Yeah, it does. There's bleed over. Is it similar to do stuff from ASP.NET to C# MVC? Yeah, I know that there's two models in that world. I remember when I did it back in the day, they had a web forms based model in the ASP.NET framework, if I recall. It's been a while, but I know that they have an MVC option as well. Yeah. Make a company in a third world named Czech Republic like everyone else. Haha. Okay, what do we do? How are we doing for time here? All right. What are the best programming fields that have a promising future that can be learned in 2021? I would say WebStack. WebStack is very flexible, so I would say WebStack. Go WebStack. My neighborhood is pretty third world. Yeah, you get that as well. Just bought your Python course. So far, so good. Glad you like it. Any plans for Studioweb mobile app? Oh, I think I read that. I think I'll go PWA. It should work on the phones, though, because it's all very responsive. I'll have to tweak that. It's one of the things we'll have to tweak this year. Steph, tips on major fatigue while sitting in a computer chair taking coding classes. Yeah, you have to, I don't know what your weight is. If you're overweight, lose weight. Again, if you guys want free coaching, no obligation, this is not like anything nefarious. His friend is putting together a package. He's gotten fantastic results for the last 5 years. He went from 300 pounds diabetic to like great health, very thin. There's a link below. It's thebodydeveloper.com. It's a program he's putting together, and I'm helping him out. I'm working with him, specifically designed for coders who may not want to go to the gym or train like crazy. It's optimal to add training a little bit, but if you just follow his advice, he'll set up something based on who you are. You can lose weight, get in shape with things like just walking, basic stretching, and more important, how you manage your food intake and so on. Yes, my apologies. This is the official channel salute. Not original. I'm, of course, borrowing this from Star Trek. So, yeah. Code long and prosper. That's it. We'll do that. That's the new one. Not live long and prosper. That's the original. It's code, C-O-D-E, long and prosper. Pancage. Does DS Algo really use in a high-hoped companies? I'm not sure what you mean, but are data structures and algorithms. No, most coding you don't need to be able to build these. It's one of these weird urban myths in the coder world. Most of the time when you're coding, the only only time you're going to use complex algorithms is because you're going to use somebody's library. You're just going to go use this library that has already created the algo. Most of the time, I'd say 99%. Is Soaring the most popular framework in big companies? I've never heard of Soaring, so I couldn't say. What is the future of native Android development? It's going to be around for a long time, but I think PWA and cross-platform non-native solutions like Flutter will take its place. Is Bootstrap Studio a good tool? Bootstrap was once upon a time essential to learn tech for web development, Bootstrap. I'm not sure what Bootstrap Studio is, but I'm assuming it's Bootstrap. Why was Bootstrap so important? Because to develop user interfaces with raw CSS or vanilla CSS and positioning that we had at the time was extremely difficult. So Twitter Bootstrap was essential because it just made it easy. But now with things like CSS tables, CSS grid, CSS flexbox, that has pushed Bootstrap into what I call the need to nerd technology category, meaning you don't really need to know it. You got to know, maybe spend do a 10-minute tutorial on YouTube how, Bootstrap, I think it's at 5 now, or is that 4 or 5? Bootstrap X in 5-10 minutes, and just learn the basics of the grid system in Bootstrap, and just move on. That's it. That's why in my book, which you can find a link below, if you're a total beginner, it's a good book on Amazon. I mentioned Bootstrap and jQuery very quickly because I knew they were going to fade. I wrote the book 5 years ago, but because I'm teaching the basics of HTML, CSS, I touch on JavaScript and the structure of the web, it's evergreen. What I teach there is still good today because the web technologies used to change quite rapidly over the years, but around 2012, the curve flattened out, meaning there's not very many changes in terms of the foundations, hardly any at all. But one thing you learn, here's an important tip if you take it away from this video. When you're looking at technologies, always put more weight, more of your effort on core technologies rather than libraries and frameworks. Because libraries and frameworks will come and go over time, but the core tech will not go. The core fundamentals do not change. If you go to one of my old sites, killerphp.com, and you click, there's an object-oriented tutorial. It's free. 22 steps, some video, some written, and if you've had trouble understanding object-oriented programming, regardless of the language, this one is in PHP, you're going to come away understanding 95% of the concepts. Even though I wrote that years ago for a web designer magazine, everything I teach there is 100% relevant. 100%. Guess what? Because object-oriented programming has not changed. There's been some additions to it, but a lot of these additions are for very niche application. And anyway, once you know the basics, you're good. Thanks for your quick review. Rip me now. I'm not sure what that means. What's going on? Okay, let's go. Dark. I thought that sheep had something to do with JS, actually. No. I just like that sheep. Look at his face. He's like leaning over saying, what are you looking at? That's why I like that sheep. It just made me laugh. And this guy, Digital's got it right. Digital shall. It's because JS is the GOAT language, greatest of all time. Exactly. Very good. I should have used, where were you when I could have quoted that. That would have been my excuse for using the sheep. How to find clients for a SaaS business, and how do I gain trust over my potential clients? Greetings from Argentina. How to find clients for my, how do I gain trust? That's a whole other subject I would have to get into. It depends on industry, first of all. If your SaaS is geared towards a certain industry, you have to cater to that industry. So for example, Studioweb, the main app is catered towards schools. So What I'm marketing towards the schools, very different than if I was marketing towards, I don't know, the plumbers. Maybe you have a SaaS product that helps plumbers do their job, whatever. And it's a whole different group, and it's a whole different approach. So it depends on the type of business. Holy moly, Stéphane knows French. Bien sûr, je connais le français. Je suis français-canadien. Je viens de Québec. Je connais le français. C'est pas souvent que je parle français, mais je parle français. What was the answer? Is JavaScript dying? It's not dying, don't worry. It's not even close to dying. You're fine. I chose a self-taught route. I have a bakery site and a video game review site in my portfolio. What's next? I've been using HTML, CSS yet. I like to work front end. Okay, good question. So you got a good site. Make sure it looks really good. Make sure when you come to the site, you go, it looks pretty good. Because people are going to judge you based on that. So what you should then do is you go out there, whether it be on job sites or see local nonprofits or local small business, and say, listen, I'm building my portfolio. I'm going to work with you. I'm willing to do little projects for you for free. And just do it. And run the project, though, like you would run a real project with time tracking and costing and contracts. Just, zero out everything, meaning don't charge them. But run it like it's a real paid job. And this way, so you develop those skills, because you're going to learn as you're a real world developer. A big part of being a great developer is being able to speak and with people and to communicate with people in an efficient manner. So that was the next two steps. You do one or two projects like that, and then you're pretty good. So yeah, so you guys, again, if you're looking to get in shape and you want free consultation, there's a link below. Go sign up to that guy's the forum is a newsletter. You get access to content. We're developing a training program specifically targeting developers, people who are a little bit more sedentary, who want to get in shape, because you get in shape, you think better, you feel better, your dating life will improve, your sleeping will improve, your anxieties will diminish. It's all true. So it's free down below. Again, in full disclosure, he's developing it. I'm working with him. So you're going to be interacting with me, and you'll get free consultation with this guy. So why not? Let's see what Utters Den has to say. Web development course for a project or trial and error for building said project. 3rd year CS2. Web development course for a project or trial and error. Trial and error for building said project. Web development course for a project. I'm not sure what you're saying there. So try it again. Model view model is the most robust and less bloated than I have to take a look at that. I haven't seen MVVM. Yeah. Well, the problem with the bloated MVC models is that they were written poorly. I wrote my own Java-based MVC framework back in the 1990s when I was a freelancer, because the frameworks that were out there now, things like struts and tapestry, web objects, they were really, really heavy and bloated and crappy. So I wrote an MVC base. It was Java JSPs, servlets, and POJOs. POJOs is short for plain old Java beans. A Java bean is just a Java class file that you can call into your Java apps. And I was doing exclusive web, well, for the most part, and I just wrote it very simply. That was the key. Writing it very simply, using the Pareto principle, which is the 80-20 principle. What is that? It's 80% of your work will be derived from 20% of your code. So what I did is I wrote my framework to address that crucial 20% of the code base that took up all my time. And then in doing so, I was able to become like 10 times more productive. That's one of the tricks, by the way, to maximizing earnings, is implementing good workflows, number one. Number two, implementing good frameworks so that you can take an hour of work and make it 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 times, 10x more productive for you. Anyway, that's another thing. What are your tips for creating a SaaS product? Lots and lots of market research beforehand. Weightlifting is good for staying alert while inactive. True. You have to be more disciplined than I am with your schedule, though. True. The schedule is important in making this work. Yeah, consistency. If you can go lift weights for even 20 minutes, half an hour, twice a week, it's a good start, man. There you go. Digital Shaolin. Story frame equals spring framework. Laugh out loud. Does it? I don't know. Stef. How are we doing for time? All right. We're going to be closing off at an hour because I got other stuff I got to take care of. I hope you like the stream. If you like the stream, give me a thumbs up. Stef, how do you see AI programming field versus other types of programming? I think there's a lot of opportunity there. I'm not an AI guy, so I know there's a big component of it is research, which means a lot of math. But there's another component where it's the implementation. I know two friends of mine who have companies that are AI based, and they're doing quite well. I don't think JavaScript will ever die. I tend to agree. In data engineering involving big data technologies like Spark, Hive, Kafka going to thrive in the future? I don't know. Big data will thrive for sure. I don't know if those particular implemented technologies will. So yeah, I appreciate the thumbs up, guys. I use Bootstrap on my new Django project just because I am more worried about the backend. Yeah, good point. It's fine. You use it. It's no big deal. It's great. If it works, fantastic. It's not going anywhere. The last thing history teaches us, the last thing you'll see is technology companies breaking very widely used code. It's not going to happen. In fact, that's like one of the main mantras of HTML5, which is probably the most important coding language in the world. It's coding language, not programming language, coding language. But HTML5, the foundation of all web apps, all websites, one of the main principles of HTML5 is not to break old code, not to break it. And in fact, the browser makers tend to avoid breaking old code at all costs. Once in a while they do something, but it's very rare. So you be good with Bootstrap, that's my point. Is that time tracking part of your entrepreneur course? It's in the Complete Entrepreneur, or it's in the freelancing course. Yeah, it's a spreadsheet that breaks down projects and how to track things. And a lot of people have said they've noticed that just looking at that spreadsheet gives them a clear idea of how to manage a development project. So in fact, my freelance course teaches you freelancing, but it also teaches you, it's just as much, I should have called it freelance and project development. It teaches you how to actually build a project at the same time. So it's good for people who are not even freelancing, who just want to understand how to manage a project. So yeah, JavaScript will not die. Event in Progress says, thanks for the advice. Hey, no problem, that's why I'm here. Is PHP 5.6 still relevant? Yes, the difference between 5.6 and 7 are marginal, and there's still a lot of 5.6 running out there as far as I know. If you found a course, for example, teaches you 5.6, for you to jump into PHP 7 will be, it'll take you like 10 minutes. Oh, okay, here are the differences, not much. There's some little things here and there, some deprecations and so forth, but yeah, it's fine. So don't worry. Again, the difference between the evolution of the languages these days are much more incremental now than they used to be, meaning minor changes now. For the most part. So for example, when they went from PHP 3 to 4, it was a big change, very big change, because with PHP 4 they implemented object-oriented programming paradigms. It wasn't fully OO, PHP wasn't at PHP 4, but from 3 to 4 is a big change. From 4 to 5, big change, because they went full OO. 5 to 7, not so big. 7 to 8, not so big. Don't get me wrong, they're important additions, but not the change, this is the change, PHP 3 to 4, big change. 4 to 5, big change. 5 to 7, 7 to 8, you get the idea. I'm struggling doing user login on Django. Django doesn't provide like a basic in the framework authentication tools built in. Laravel does, for example. We had our own custom authentication, but we just used the Laravel one. It works like a dream. So you got to be able to find an authentication plugin, if you will. Hey, Christy Johnson. Aloha from Kakahayaka. I never heard that. That's good. I'm sure it's beautiful, though. Thanks for joining the stream. Okay, all right. Thanks, Stef. Yeah, no problem. What exactly is big data? It's basically all that Facebook data and Google data that they're mining. It's not just that, but everywhere. And it's just, they're able to figure out a lot of, it's just being able to mine huge amounts of data to figure out realities of the world. There was a book I read about that. I forget what it was called. I got to bring it out next time. And they talked about that, how they, people and companies and governments are always trying to figure out what's going on with the population. And they look at all kinds of there's all these different ways. One of the ways is surveys, but surveys are notoriously inaccurate because people say one thing and do the other. And not necessarily because they're nefarious in their intent. They just, my Lizard Wizard course will teach you all about that, but it's just the way our brains operate. But one true way to find out reality of things is through big data. If you get the usage patterns or big data from 100 million people, or 200 million people, or 50 million people, you can derive more accurate understanding of what's going on out there. That being said, I'm not a big data guy, so I have just I have a superficial understanding of it all. I don't know. What brought the topic questions? What brought topic questions? I bring up topics and questions based on my randomness. Do you think that it's a big leap going from network technician to work with Azure to a DevOps role? Cache is king in the keyword for me. No, just learn to. If you can learn one tech, you can learn the other. So just jump in, dude. Is Python the future or the present or the past? It's all three. Python exists in all realities. JavaScript reported most freelance jobs in 2020. Oh, there you go. That's good. Hey, Stef, what's your opinion for Golang in 2021? Niche technology, but it's good. Good news since your last live. I've been talking to two clients to make a website for them, and I passed my student job interview yesterday. Talking to hiring manager next week. Congratulations, Daniel. Glad to hear. Let us know how it goes. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, let us know how it goes. And also you can let us know what the vibe you got, and so other people can learn from your experience. Okay. How are we doing for time? All right, I'm going to be ending the stream soon. Is it good long-term to work as a freelancer in Java backend, or is it better AngularJS Vue? Hard to say. I think you're probably good in both. Why did PHP skip 6? That's a good question. Because they just waited too long. It was some weird. It was politics more than anything else, as far as I understand. It's funny because we had put out a little mini course on the changes to PHP 6 when PHP 6 was in development phases. And then they went to 7. What was in 6, they just put into 7. So we had to get rid of the video because people were going, oh my God, it's PHP 6. There's no PHP 6, even though the things we taught are in PHP 7. But people were concerned about these things. Yeah, so short answer is I think it was just because they waited so long to come up with PHP 6, they felt bad about it. And they said, we're going to go to 7 now. I think that's what they did. Like Windows went from Windows 95, 98, then they 2000, I think then they went to 10. Something like that. It's hardly Windows 10, right? It's not, it's like, I think it's like the 4th or 5th version of Windows. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure about that. All right. See if, congratulations, Daniel. There we go, cool. I am subscribed now if you will keep this interactive streams. Yeah, I plan on doing a pile of more streaming. I love streaming, it's fun. I love interacting with people. all over the world. It's great. And I'm glad everybody, get to know people from all over the world. So I like streaming. Don't worry about that. I'll be upping the streams. So once again, look in the description box. There's a link to a site called bodydeveloper.com. So I'm working with my friend. He's doing all the consultations now, but he's taking on personally, no cost, people to help him get the weight loss thing, because we're putting together a program on that. And if you join the newsletter, we're going to have exclusive content in that regard. So it's up there for you. Do you charge for meetings where they discuss the specs? Sometimes these meetings never get to a point where one can start coding. Yeah, that's a good question. If you're well established, if you are, before you sit down, start speccing out stuff, you got to charge for that, because you're being paid to do that analysis. It's called the analysis phase of the project. But you might have some balking with that. So what I would suggest when you're freelancing, typically you would go in, or maybe you zoom in. You say, okay, what's your project? And you'd give them maybe 10, 15 minutes. And then you say, okay, we were going to have to flesh out a spec. And I charge this much an hour to flesh it out. Give me a call. I'm doing a very simple version. In my freelance course, I talk about that. So, and there are still big banks in Germany operate on Windows XP. Yeah, I forgot about XP. Yeah, there is. Christy says, thanks for all the help. No problem. I'm glad I could help. JS is over. It's finished. Dead and buried. It went from #1 language in the world to 0. Nobody uses JS anymore. Just kidding. JS is going nowhere. You're good. Bonsoir. Quel est le meilleur langage à apprendre en 2021? Je pense que pour moi, si vous êtes débutant, ça serait Python, JavaScript, mais les deux, ça va bien. Hi from Verdun, Montreal. I am an older newbie to coding. Purchase your fundamentals course. Fantastic structure. Glad you like it. What are your thoughts on the SolarWinds hack? I heard about that, but I have to look into it. I don't know what it is exactly. What's your channel about? It's about, about software. I'm software development. I teach coding development, but I teach also life skills related to that, how to take those coding skills, turn them into money and financial freedom, and get jobs, start a business, start freelancing. And I've thought to myself, I have a mentorship program, so I thought to myself, you know what? One of the most important things is health, so I'm just bringing that up now. It's a newish program for me. I'm trying to bookend things. I want tech skills, business skills, job skills, interview skills, project management skills, business skills, and I figure health skills, nutrition skills. Hold on. Pas de problème. Je vous en prie. How the jazz question already been answered? Yes. If you look at the beginning of the video, I get into it. I get into the details about the big frameworks and so on, so you can watch that. Thanks for the valuable information, sir, and thank you very much. And JavaScript will not die. It will be updated for the future. Yeah, JavaScript's not going anywhere. Don't worry about that. All right. Some ask the same about COBOL in 82 in a Twitch stream, so the answer is no. I got a programmer tip for you. Code JavaScript underwater so none sees you crying. Yeah, JavaScript is a particular language. How much should I charge for meetings to discuss specs of a project? Well, you have that initial meeting where you kind of just get a feel for what it is, and then you say, listen, when I'm coming in to detail the specs, this is my per hour rate. And if you have to sit with them for an hour, you charge whatever you charge per hour. If you have to sit with them for 3 hours, but you have to have that initial meeting when you establish this protocol. Detail this in a contract. Don't assume anything. Make sure they understand everything explicitly. So there you go. Yeah, you have to. Yeah, if you haven't done it, you should do my freelance course. I'll answer all these questions. How do I do GUI in Python? Well, you fire up Python and then you import one of the many Python GUI packages. They call modules. And then you start implementing them. What can a freelancer do different to stand out from the rest? Have a beautiful website, have very good communication skills, and act very professional. And yeah, there's a bit more to it. That's a short answer. Get my freelance course. I've been working as a web dev for a couple years, but I never used advanced techniques such as interfaces, design patterns. Am I doing something wrong? I still get the job done. No. What I would suggest you do is there's a link below to a book called Refactoring. I would get that book. That will up your game as a developer. And then I would look at the bulk of the work that you do and see if there's a particular framework that might speed up things a little bit. And just learn a little on the side. Worst case scenario, you'll learn how somebody else, how most developers kind of approach projects, and you might find them very useful. How many hours should an ordinary Java project take in learning Java? What should be the frame? Should an ordinary Java project take in learning Java? I don't know what you mean by ordinary Java project take in learning Java. I'm not sure what you mean by that. You can get up and running, starting to write basic Java code within a month. Basic, but yeah. By learning to code, can I create video games? Yeah, you can, but you got to learn your basics first. JavaScript will die only after Stefan returned to Kiev. I got to visit all the other Mishtuks in Kiev. Big love from South Africa. Well, thank you. Big love from Canada, Montreal. Intermittent fasting will not die. Elbow cough, elbow cough. All right, how we do it? 140. Oh boy, 11 minutes. All right, 1 hour. I'm going to have to cut this off. Well, 1 hour is long enough. I hope you liked the stream. If you did, please give me a thumbs up because YouTube algo says that's cool. And it also tells me if you like this style of presentation or if you want me to do more. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to, going forward with my live streams, I'll have a subject. I'll open with the subject, get to it, answer the questions, cover that subject, and then I do the Q&A like this. And that's about it. Again, if you want to get in shape, no charge. We're designing a program. You can help us design the program. There's a link below, thebodydeveloper.com. I'm involved with this project, of course. You get free consultation, no obligation or anything. We're just putting together a package so you can help me out. He's already getting great results. Some guys, they've been on it just a week or so. They're losing 8-10 pounds. And this is a program we're designing for developer guys who may not necessarily want to go to the gym every week, and you can still get in good shape, which is very useful for all aspects as discussed. So there's a link below. Sign up. Please sign up to the newsletter, and we won't spam you because trust us, we won't spam you. Also, my Need to Nerd newsletter, I'm starting to send out my own, my newsletters, and this is more code and tech job oriented newsletter. You can sign up to that as well. Again, at most, you're going to get 2 newsletters a week, probably 1 a week in each of the newsletters, but there'll be exclusive content to make it worthwhile. I'm doing this because I want to have a direct connection with the audience. Always good to diversify, whether you're investing in for retirement or your stocks, whether your skill sets, and for me, diversification is one of those universal principles. So there you go. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next stream. I'll give you an ASMR here. My Cape Elizabeth, Maine ASMR. I shot this video, it was about a year and a half, 2 years ago. I love Maine, so if you're feeling stressed out, watch this video, breathe in slowly, out slowly, relax. And this video, watch the video, you're gonna calm down, you're gonna feel good. We'll see you soon.